A lot is happening right now. I bet you're wondering where I am. If you're listening, I bet you are wondering where I am. If you're watching, what you'll do is you'll look over and you'll see the Eiffel Tower. That's not a pissing joke for anyone listening. The Alpha Tower is right behind me. Why? Because I'm in pissing Paris. Yeah. Do you know what I said? I said, there's a raven there. Is that bad luck? Anyway, I'm currently in Paris on a brand trip with New Look. My outfit right now is New Look. I look so pissing Can you shut up? Sorry. People beeping downstairs. My outfit is so pissing French. I look like Ratatouille. I look like I belong in Ratatouille, like I belong in Gigi. If anyone's ever seen that 1920s film. I don't think it's 1920s. I'm looking out onto the Parisian skyline, and it's quite surreal, really, that I'm doing I've got a beret on. I've got a pissing beret on. Do you want to know what we were doing earlier today? We were making croissants. Croissants. Ouais, parce que je suis française maintenant. Alors, oui. No, I did study GCSE and A-level French, and ever since then haven't really done much in the French. In the French category. I could say maybe aujourd'hui nous avons fait les croissants dont je ne sais pas. Ouais, alors maintenant je suis ici avec le microphone et en caméra parce que je recorde mon... I don't know, babe. I don't know. I'm not pissing French. I'm not French. I may look French. I don't know. I don't know French that well. Anyway, being in France, being in Paris, which is the city of love, today I'm going to be speaking about what else? Heartbreak. because I think if you follow me for a while, for the whole time I've been on social media, have been in a relationship, and I've only recently gotten out of said relationship. And I'm currently experiencing a breakup, which so many people experience, and which I think so many people have to experience, which I'll talk about further. So that's currently what I want to talk about. I've got my red lipstick on, rouge. No, so let's get on with the pissing show then, shall we? It's pissing cold. I don't want to be out here that long. So, if you're listening or you've carried on listening after that big old monologue intro because you want to know why my boyfriend and I broke up, you're not going to hear it. I'm not going to speak on that because it's none of your pissing business. And also, I think there's just some things. I respect him, I love him, and I don't need his business aired out, whether it's my business and I'm airing it as well. It's also his business, and his business doesn't necessarily need to be aired. But I'll kind of talk through the motions I'm going through right now. It was a mutual breakup in that it was amicable, and therefore I don't feel, in comparison to someone that maybe is going through a breakup because they've been betrayed in some sense, or someone that's going through a breakup because the other half is just an absolute twonk. It's a very different feeling, and I'm aware of that. But it's not to say I've been through breakups before. Most of them have been amicable because mentally, a lot of the time, my brain can switch off. I think maybe it's an Aquarius thing, maybe it's just a me thing, where my brain says, this isn't serving you. This feeling, how you're feeling right now, it's not a you feeling. You're meant to be a good feeling babe. And my brain kind of switches off that part of my mental that I guess is thinking in that way. And so for the past however many months that I have been in my single era, it's been tough, don't get me wrong, because I'm used to speaking to someone every single day, and I think that's the toughest thing for me. But then you kind of learn to speak to yourself every single day, which is really, as I say, happy clappy. But nice. It is nice to kind of rely on yourself and be the person that you need for you, and finding that in yourself. So even though I've kind of experienced heartbreak and experienced being alone in that respect, I'm okay. I'm okay. I will say, since being in Paris, French people hate me. And I don't know why. Je ne sais pas, babe. Because I'm with a group of girls, all British girls. And British people, I guess, are naturally quite loud. A lot of them northern. A lot of northerners are loud. I love it. But I guess the French, non, ce n'est pas possible. Ouais. So every time we're in a restaurant or any kind of location, screaming and laughing and joking and having a jovial time, they don't like it. They don't like it at all. And they're just so angry at us. I was in an elevator yesterday with another girl, and we walked in and there was already an elder lady in there. And as we walked in, she was like, and so we were on a higher floor, the 6th floor. As it got down, it stopped at the 3rd floor, and there was a group of people wanting to come in the elevator, and she was like, no, and closed the elevator door so that people couldn't come in. And I thought, you know what? Fair. You know what? Live your truth. If you don't want them in there, you've lived a long enough life to say, I don't pissing want anyone in this elevator. I'd like to go by myself, actually. So it was just quite funny to witness. They really don't give a hoot and heck. They I think, should coin that phrase that I have used, because if there was a hoot and heck available, they would not give it. It's not yours. It's not yours to give. I'm telling you, if you're French. But no, anyway, I digress. Back to being heartbroken, crippling heartbreak. It's okay. It's okay. As with anything, as with any wound, I think as well, I'm quite aware that time heals all wounds, which is, again, shut up. But it does. And so I guess just allowing myself to have that time to heal. I'm so beautiful. I'm looking at myself in the camera and I look like a French babe. Who's French? Heartbreak, you can't avoid it. You cannot avoid it. In fact, it's so necessary. In fact, it's imperative that you go through heartbreak, because it really, as I say, I'm going through a good heartbreak, so to speak, because I'm near the end of it, and also haven't been betrayed as much as someone that's maybe been cheated on. I'll say that, but it is imperative that you have your heart broken, truly, because it really does make you look at things in another way, and it makes you such a kinder person, I find. And I think the most important thing about heartbreak is not thereafter. And one thing I'm kind of focused on learning and practicing. There's a car alarm going up. A valve just turned on up there. One thing I'm focusing on practicing is not allowing the heartbreak to completely shut me off, because you have to be open and vulnerable and ready for heartbreak, because it really does shape you. It really makes you who you become. And learning not to be resentful after a heartbreak is very difficult to do, but very, very important to do, because you can't carry that with you. You cannot carry resentment with you for the other person. Oh, God, if only you hadn't done this. I resent you for doing this. I resent you for even meeting me. You should have never even been with me in the first place. There's all thoughts that have previously gone through my head, but you have to just be grateful for the time that you had. The time that I had in my relationship was enjoyable. I enjoyed the time in my relationship. So why would I then resent the person I'm with for giving me a good time? And even if you have been in a relationship where you haven't necessarily had a good time, they haven't treated you well, they've treated you like absolute arse, be grateful for the fact that, God, do you know what? I got to learn. I got to really get a wake-up call and learn. Even though I shouldn't have had to learn, most people do, but I've learned what I deserve, and that I've learned to really recognize signs and patterns and things like that. So in everything, and I said it a few weeks ago, that gratitude is so important in everything you do, because it makes you, in my opinion, such a nice and kind and happy person. Being grateful for any experience you have, whether it's good or bad, taking whatever you need from it, I think is so important, especially with heartbreak. So that's what I wanted to say about my heartbreak specifically. And with that being said, we're going to move on to the next segment, which is when I answer your agonies. If you have any agonies, do remember that you can submit them on my website, everythingayame.com. I would like to answer all of your submissions, so do make sure you get them in as soon as possible, because I will be closing that submission portal very, very soon. But yeah, shall we? I think we should. So as I mentioned, this week is... Ooh, I can hear myself. As I mentioned, this week is about heartbreak. I've also, last week when I was doing it, my camera came out of focus. So now I've got my screen up so that I can constantly see myself, but it means that I will constantly be looking at myself. Why? I'm obsessed with how I look. I think I'm stunning. So as I say, this week is about heartbreak. So a lot of our agonies are not just about heartbreak, because that's quite depressing, but also about kind of getting out there, getting back on the thing after a heartbreak, getting over a heartbreak and putting yourself back on the market. Let's begin. Dear Ayame, I'm 25 and I'm the only sibling that is unmarried/single. Holidays and family get-togethers can often feel lonely, and I find myself feeling left behind in my own lane. Any advice for how to combat those feelings and be more content with where I'm at in my love life? Love you and the podcast. I didn't add that bit in. She really said that. I mean, there's only so much time. I mean, do you want to be in a relationship? Do you want to be in a relationship? Are you actively sourcing a relationship? Because it sounds to me like you would like to be in one, but I don't know if you're trying to, like, if you're putting yourself out there on maybe apps, going out to places where you might find someone, speaking to people in person and saying, hey, do you want to give me a kiss? Being okay with being, I mean, I'm on a trip now, and it's very different because obviously it's you're talking about family, I'm talking about work. I'm on a trip now where everyone I'm with is in a relationship. They're either have a boyfriend, have a fiance, or have a husband. And I'm the only single one. And I think a lot of them have kind of, while I've been here, stopped themselves from talking about how happy they are with their boyfriends, and I'm like, no, please do, because I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine with being where I am. I would love to have a relationship later on, but I'm okay. And I think feeling lonely, if you genuinely are upset about not being in a relationship, why do you feel lonely, though? Is everyone in your family married? Everyone in your family is married. Is that what you're telling me? Pissing hell. How depressing. Not one single cousin even? Not even a single cousin? You find yourself feeling left behind in your own life. I mean, you're only 25, really and truly. If you think about it, you don't rush it. It will come. But you kind of really just have to trust the process. And I know that's kind of advice that doesn't really help. Unless you really want to throw yourself out there and get a relationship and start just looking on the streets. You really just have to trust the process, because your person will come, because you don't want to rush it and you don't want to bring someone that might not necessarily fit. Hopefully your parents aren't giving you stick for being the only unmarried sibling. I don't know your culture. I don't know your parents. But just trust the process. That doesn't really help. I know that doesn't really help. But you've got to just let it happen. You've got to really kind of feel those feelings. And if anything, see it as an opportunity that, yeah, you're all married and everything, but I have the opportunity to really, you're stuck. You've got nowhere to go. I've got places to go. I can do this. I can do this. Yes, holidays and family get-togethers. You got your little boos. That's nice. My boo will come, but for now, I'm enjoying these holidays and family get-togethers, because after the holidays and family get-togethers, I can go on the Raz and get a shag. Not that you want to do that, but, you know, you kind of just have to really be happy in the space that you're in. And I know that's no advice, but that's my advice. Do you want it or not? Do you want my advice or not? You've written here, I have nothing to tell you other than that. Be happy. Next one. Dear Ayame, I've just had my first major breakup after my first ever adult relationship. I'm 20. Adult relation. You're 20. How long were you with? I'm going to read it. I'm not going to judge as well. I'm just going to read it. You're 20 though. You only just became literally legally a non-teenager. You were 19 last year. You're 20 now. Please, if you're going to talk to me about anything stupid, you're going to piss me off. Anyway, no, Ayame. Look, the wind doesn't even like that. So, I'm 20. And we were together for a while. So before, I had only had teenage relationships / situationships. And when those relationships came to an end, I was of course sad at the time, but it just wasn't the same. This is much harder. Sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing at your heartbreak. I don't mean to laugh at your heartbreak, but yes, of course it is, my darling. Because the love is much more intense. So the heartbreak is much more intense, trust me. Now, I'm an anxious girly and I always have been. Oh, I'm ableist. I was laughing at you and you're anxious. Oh, I'm awful, aren't I? Sorry. But being with my ex really helped with that. I felt like I could take on the world with them by my side. I know my worth is not defined by any man, good girl, and I'm confident in my own self-worth, and I love the way I look and the person I am. Good pissing girl. I'm so proud of you. I just feel a lot more vulnerable in the world as a young adult woman without my ex-boyfriend. I wish this wasn't the case, but I've not really lived as an adult without him before. So I'm feeling weird navigating life. I know this is all necessary for my development, but it doesn't make it any less hard. Any advice? P.S. And I promise you this is not a joke. You are gorgeous. Yeah, I am. And again, I'm going to give you some no advice. You got to just do it. You got to just live through it to realize that it's okay. Right now, obviously, you're entering. For me, when I recently broke up with my boyfriend, I thought, oh, I feel so vulnerable because I haven't been in this career even. You're going to be in such different spaces in different relationship status, so to speak. I thought, oh, I've never been in this career, i.e. content creating, in the public eye without a boyfriend. How am I going to navigate it? And there's always going to be something new for you to venture. And you're always going to have to get used to doing it on your own and know how that feels to be by yourself. You're 20, my darling. So, my beautiful girl, 20 is nothing. And you are literally a baby. You have so much adultness to go through. And in good adultness, not just bad. So, I know I'm telling you just don't fret. But just don't fret. It will absolutely be fine. In fact, it will be incredibly enjoyable. You being in your 20s and single. I promise you that. God, in my early 20s, single, no one was safe. The streets, pissing hell. The streets were not safe. And unless you're not like that, and that's fine. But still, 20 is such a pivotal age to be single. So you obviously feeling, it's always good to have, the reason you felt less anxious with your boyfriend by your side is because it's that familiarity. It's having that someone in your corner backing you. But I guess this moment in time, when you're being single now, you're going to learn how to have you in your corner backing you. And your friends, and you'll have other people. You will be absolutely fine. And I'm glad that you already know. I'm going to burp. That was a hefty one. I had some croissant in that. Feck. I'm glad that you already know that you're beautiful, your self-worth, what you're looking for, the person you are. Love. You're just going to have to live it. But it's the same with, I was scared again. As I say, I was scared about being in this career without my boyfriend. I was scared about being this age. I'm in my late 20s now, nearing 30, being in that age without my boyfriend. But you kind of just have to say, well, I have to just do it. I have to just live this and see what it's like. Because me telling you, oh yeah, it's going to be pissing great, you're in your 20s and you're single, that's only going to go so far. You really have to just experience it yourself and then be like, oh, do you know what? I'm okay here. And it sounds like you're not incredibly down in the dumps, which is great. You just you just have to live it, and it's absolutely going to be okay. Any advice? Take up a hobby. Go on the town. I always say going on the town really helps with a breakup. Having Having someone tell you you're pretty really helps with a breakup. I'll tell you. So yeah, my darling, you're single, you're in your 20s, and you're going to have a pissing blast. But you're only going to know that you're having a pissing blast. Look, they're having a pissing blast. All right, I'm doing a podcast. You're only going to know that you're having a pissing blast whilst you're having a pissing blast. And I know that might not make any sense, but me telling you this will only go so far. Just please believe that you're going to be absolutely having the best time, and you're going to be fine, and you're going to when you are ready for a new relationship and you're new, because again, hate to break it to you. I really do hate to break it to you, but your relationships when you were a teenager, the heartbreak, yes, hurtful. I'm sure you cried. I'm sure it was really painful. Trust me, I did too. Nothing compared to when you're in your adult years. Absolutely pissing nothing, because your feelings are so much more intense. Your knowledge of love and your knowledge of your ability to give love and how you receive love and how you see yourself is completely different to when you're a teenager. So that heartbreak, oh, it's awful. But it only gets more and more intense the more and more intense your love is. And you have to do it. You have to be heartbroken. You have to be vulnerable in order to move to the next stage of your development. God, the door's just opened. The wind is really winding today. But you have to be heartbroken in order to move to the next stage of who you are. You, my darling, your 20-year-old, that 21-year-old might be heartbroken, the 22, 24, whatever it is. You have to keep leveling up, and with each level up comes even harder pains and trials and tribulations, and you have to go through. Can you shut up? Can you actually shut up? I'm talking to the door, sorry. Bear with. The more you level up as a person, the more your struggles level up as well. And you have to be prepared for that. The more your heartbreak levels up, the more your disappointment levels up. And it's going to pissing hurt like hell. Each time, even worse. You have to go through it. You have to. God, isn't this great? The Eiffel Tower's right behind me. I'm talking about love. I wonder if it will light up while I'm sat here. Now a little less heartbreak. Let's go into love now. Dear Ayame, I really like someone who's younger than me. I'm 30, he's 22. Is that insane? Question mark? Let me put it this way. When you were finishing secondary school, they were 3 years away from finishing primary. You tell me if that's weird. You tell me if that's weird, yeah? I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to answer for you. I'm not your therapist. Therapists don't even do that. I'm going to be a big old therapist right now. You tell me if you think it's insane that when you were 25, they were 17. You tell me if that's weird. You tell me. We've been seeing each other for a while, and it's great. But I'm also recently out of a 5-year relationship, and the thought of starting another one scares me. Right. Now, here's the thing. This is what I call the ridiculous rebound. We all have them. We all absolutely have them. It's the person you date/speak to after a long relationship or after a relationship in general. And then after a few years, months, days sometimes, you look back and think, what the pissing hell was I? Who the piss was I in that moment? Because what? I mean, I wouldn't jump into the wind, sur la vue, c'est très fort. I mean, strong. I wouldn't jump into a relationship straight away. I think you still need time to heal from that previous relationship and develop your new character, so to speak. But at the same time, if they're really good for you, this isn't you specifically for you, kiddie fiddler, yeah? This one isn't for you, okay? Get away from that child, first of all. No. I would, yeah, but at the same time, do you know what, though? Me saying that, I'd date someone up to 35, but at the same time, why are you 35 and single? Why are you 35 and single? Because why have these other women turned you down at 35? Why have you gotten this far? Something's up. But, no. So, I wouldn't recommend, like I said, I wouldn't recommend jumping into a new relationship get to know new people after a relationship. I think it really helps with a heartbreak because your focus isn't on, oh, I miss him so much, I miss him so much. Your focus is on, oh, I look pretty today. Oh, someone's just told me I look pretty. That's nice. You're not going to focus on the heartbreak. But stay away from that child, I'd say. Stay away from that child. I mean, do what you want. It's not my pissing life, but they recently graduated. They just graduated. They just left university, and you're 30. You don't think that's insane? That's how I feel. You don't think that's crazy? That's how I feel. 2 burps in one go. I mean, I don't know what you want help with. Get away from the kid. Get away from the child. Talk to other people your age. Adults. Speak to adults. No, because I'm sure there's a lot of 20-year-olds listening, 22-year-olds. I spoke to a 22-year-old last episode for my agony. Anyway, on to the next question. You little paedophile. Anyway. No, I'm sure you're happy. Do what you need to do as long as it's, safe and doesn't harm others. I'm a poor Greek girl. Oh, how'd you say hello in Greek? Yasu. I'm a poor Greek girl. Yasu. Who was recently severely heartbroken because I had a breakup with my Belgian boyfriend due to long distance. I've been crying uncontrollably ever since, including lectures, parks, the gym. Sorry, I just thought of that in meme form. Like you're just sat there in a park, and then you just burst out in tears. You just sat there in the gym, you just burst out in tears. Sorry, no, you're heartbroken. Let me not laugh. And I just feel so alone because my family's not here. Oh, are you away? Sorry. I know you're also going through a breakup, and I just love you so much. Thank you. It would be great if you could share some advice on how to stay positive and deal with this. I've been on 2 dates so far with 2 English boys, and all I managed to do was realise how much I love and miss my ex, although we can't get back together. That'll happen. Definitely, when I've been on dates since my breakup, I have constantly thought, oh, he didn't do that. I miss him. Oh God, I just miss how he smelled. 1000% it'll do that. And then it just stops. A lot of it is a lot of breakup and a lot of heartbreak and any kind of, because it is a grief, any kind of grief and loss, you just got to trust the process, trust the healing process, trust that you will heal and be okay. I'm so sorry that you're just crying everywhere. I find it quite funny, but I'm so sorry because heartbreak is awful. I don't know about any of you, but when I'm heartbroken, when I'm experiencing real upset, I feel heartbreak, I feel it in my chest. And I think I read somewhere that only a few, it's quite a rare condition actually. I read that it's just rare and I'm just special. But I feel the heartbreak in my chest. I can feel my chest. It's almost like someone's just sat on it. It's like a real heavy feeling in my chest. Apparently you can also die that way, which is nice. But you just have to trust that you will be okay for a time, and you have to cry. You're going to cry. Let yourself cry. And then after a few months, you'll be okay. And you'll think about him in a different way. It'll be like, oh yeah, I remember. Anyway, back to you. So it's just trusting that you'll be okay, because you will. Because I remember when I was younger, my dad said to me, and at the time I was like, oh, shut up, don't say that. But I remember when I was younger, my dad said to me, you have so many more. I'd just gone through when I was younger, I'd just gone through a breakup with my boyfriend at the time, and I was obviously a teenager, and I was really, really upset. And my dad had said to me, you have so much more heartbreak to come. And at the time when you want to kill yourself, you don't want to hear that. But now I look back and it really, really does help every time. Every time I do feel these feelings of sadness, feelings of grief and loss and heartbreak, because it is a grief, it is a loss. You have so much more. You have so many more relationships to grieve. So many more. This is the tip of the iceberg. And that sucks. It really is a shitty thing to hear, because it's like, I don't want to feel this ever again. I don't want to. But you have to. You really have to, because there's some people that I know on Love Island. I think I forgot who it was that said it in her intro. Liberty, I think it was. But she was saying, I don't want to be heartbroken again. And you have to be heartbroken. It's like a rite of passage. It really is inevitable. So, as I say, keep going on dates, but at the same time, you don't have to. Like, if you don't feel like you're ready to go on dates, don't go on dates. For me, personally, I feel like it does help because it does take away your attention a lot of the time, especially if you go on a good date. If you're going on dates with scummy men, or boys even, if I don't know how old you are, then you're going to keep thinking, oh, I miss him. But if you're going on dates with nice men, it opens up that thing, and it's the feeling of, I guess, being desired and kind of regaining your confidence in that romantic sense that I think really helps when you're kind of putting yourself back on the market after a breakup. And just trust that you will be okay. I know I've said this time and time again. This is a tiny, tiny drop in the ocean of sadness that you will feel, which may not sound really motivating. It motivates me because it just makes me feel like, because the next one, I mean, I don't know if this is your first heartbreak, but maybe if you have had another one before this, maybe think about that one. The same way when it comes to like, when you want to hit a goal weight and you look back at when you were that weight before and you're like, I know I can do it because I've been there before. Is this in focus? Yeah. I know I can do it because I've been there before. So I just have to go there again. I know that I will be okay. I know I'll be okay after this heartbreak because I've been okay before. I've been settled and healed before. I just have to get back to there. And you will, if you work on just keep on loving yourself, staying positive. I think the best way to stay positive is to stay grateful. I say it again, I sound like a broken record, but staying grateful. Be grateful that you were able to be with that Belgian boy and you were able to understand what you now have the knowledge of what it's like to be in a long distance relationship. But you're also, I know it sucks that you're in your country that you're, I guess if you're Greek and you live in England, maybe you as in you've moved over here from Greece, maybe look at you being away from your family. I know it sucks, but the fact that you're in a new city, a new place where you can try out different boys if you wish, or just so that you're able to really learn to be okay by yourself. You're really putting yourself through the test, and that's, I guess, rewarding, because when you get to the end of that line of healing yourself, you'll be like, oh God, it took so long, but here I am. So that's what I would say. And I know that doesn't help. Shall we just pause? Because behind me, if you're watching the video, behind me, the Eiffel Tower has just turned on, and I'll tell you, it's stun. Well, oh my God, I think that's all of my questions. Yeah, it is. That's all the questions I decided to do today. And I'm actually being kicked out of this balcony. God. I mean, if I can, before I finish this episode, if there's main points I really want to stress, it's that 1, heartbreak is inevitable. You can't get away from it. You cannot run away from heartbreak. It will find you. It will find you. Even if you're in a teenage, you've been with someone, I guess, your childhood sweetheart, so to speak, and you're with someone you will feel heartbreak within that relationship. Guaranteed. Heartbreak is guaranteed. Same way as losses, grief and loss, guaranteed. And therefore you cannot run away from it, and you cannot close yourself to it, which is point 2. After heartbreak, you cannot close yourself up in fear of having another heartbreak. You must be vulnerable in any relationship you go into. Otherwise it's a waste of time for you and the person you are with. So if you're currently going through heartbreak, you've just gotten over a heartbreak and you're like, I don't want to put myself out there again because I don't want to get my heart broken. Tough tits, babe. Tough. Because it is an inevitability that you will feel heartbreak. And if you're not entering a new relationship completely yourself, completely giving yourself to another person, once you trust that they are, I guess, at least a decent person, but you can't. There's no way to tell until they prove you wrong, basically. You have to. Otherwise, you're just living a fake life with no full experience of it. So just know that it's going to pissing happen. I'm going to sit over here. And the third point for heartbreak is, me personally, I mean, everyone's different, but I always say that the best way to get over someone, finish the lyric, I personally haven't, talk to new people. It really does help. it really does help, because it really shifts your focus from to you know what I mean? So those are my 3 points for dealing with heartbreak, my 3 pieces of advice for this episode. If you're heartbroken, stop it. Stop being heartbroken. No. If you're heartbroken, sorry, babe, welcome to the club. Thousands and thousands and thousands of other people, millions, have experienced what you're experiencing now. Millions, billions. And therefore, just know that you'll be okay from it, because just like any wound, you will heal. Just like any grief, after time, it's fine. You'll be okay. And I know that's such a kind of weak point of advice for you. You'll be okay, but you will. That's it. That's it. That's the show. You'll be okay. You will be okay. The grief will pass. The heartbreak will pass. And someone else will make you feel special, if after you've made yourself feel special, you know? But thank you so much for listening to my podcast. I'm in Paris. The Eiffel Tower is fully lit. I've got quite good lighting here. I don't know if I can move this camera. The Eiffel Tower is right behind me. Oh, it's got a piss off. Piss off. It's got a pissing, what's it called? Strobe, not strobe, but the lights that just travel the sky. But that's been my podcast for today. I'm in Paris. I won't be next week, but I will be going to the US. Thank you so much for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, why don't you subscribe to it? Why don't you subscribe to this podcast? And why don't you subscribe to my YouTube? Why don't you pissing do that? Yeah? I'm sick of doing these things and none of you actually helping me. No, I'm joking. I'm not really, though. I'm not. If you did like this podcast, subscribe to it on Spotify, on Apple, and on YouTube. And I will see you and hear you, speak to you next week. I love you.